I want to welcome you to In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. And we're so excited on this July the 4th, 2017, this Independence Day. And we're celebrating independence in every area of our lives, spiritually, physically, financially, emotionally. And it's just such a blessing and honor to be sharing with you on this evening. I know many of you had plans. You probably took time off from your cookout and your family gatherings, getting ready to watch the fireworks a little bit later on this evening. And so we're just excited for this time of to share with you in this space and time to encourage you as it relates to the blended family. Yes. And so we're going to jump right in because we know you guys are excited and you're ready to go. You want to get back to the hot dogs and those hamburgers and all those other things that you've been preparing all day long. And so we thank you. We love you guys for meeting us here every Tuesday at 7:30. Regardless of what's going on, we're here. And we're just excited. We're bubbling over. So we're going to jump right into this episode of In the Blender. First, we want to talk about just a little update. Not so much an update, but we'll talk about what we've been discussing over the last week or so. We talked about, the last episode we talked about 5 tips on being an effective blended parent. And if you missed that, you want to go back and you want to go to our webpage, our Facebook page, In the Blender, or you can go to our individual pages as well, and you can view that last week's episode. But we talked about, last program, we talked about 5 tips on being an effective blended parent. Mm-hmm. We talked about being the good guy. Don't strive to outdo or compete against the biological parent. Seeking to know the likes and dislikes of the child and of the spouse. We talked about don't talk about the child's biological parent. And those are very important things that will assist you in the maturation and the growth of your family and your relationship. Yes. A lot of things we found out over the years is that people don't know how to be the good guy, or the blended parent doesn't really know how to be the good guy. So we gave tips on how to be the good guy. People always striving to outdo the biological parent. Well, we talked about tips on how to let the biological parent do what they do so that you can advance and increase the family to where you want it to be. We talked about seeking to know the likes and the dislikes. Those are important because those are things you're going to continue to bump heads with if you don't get an understanding. The Bible says, in all our getting, get understanding. And so we want to make sure that you get understanding as it relates to the blended family, the likes and the dislikes, so that you won't keep having those continuous hiccups and things that families sometimes face because we just don't take the time out to find out what each other like. And then we talked about not talking about the biological parent, especially in the presence of that child or around that child. Mm-hmm. And it's so important that you want to, mature in that area. We know a lot of times blended families have a lot of different dynamics as it relates to how you got into that predicament or into this situation. But it's important that you don't down talk or bad talk that biological parent at all, but especially to the child or around the child, because you want to show them your level of maturity. You want to show them your level of growth. And at the end of the day, it's not about them anyway. It's all about that child. Mm-hmm. And so if you keep that child first, you'll always limit the negativity that you put before that child, because what you sow today, you will reap tomorrow. Let me say that again. What you sow today, you will reap tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And so you want to be careful as it relates to your communication about that biological parent, either to the child or around the child. Sweetheart, let's go into some of the statistics that we shared on last week.
66% of those living remarried break up when there are children involved. It is estimated that more than half of all Americans either have been or will be included in a blended family during their lifetime. Every day in the United States, it is estimated that 2,100 blended families will form.
Now, watch this. The first statistic says 66% of those living remarried break up. So 66% of those that are living that remarried, they break up.
When children are involved.
When children are involved. And that's a startling statistic that we have to do something about. And that's one of the purposes of In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman, is so that we can cut down and eliminate. Our ultimate goal is to eliminate that statistic. We understand there are a lot of different dynamics as it relates to why you're here as a blended family, but that doesn't mean that we have to continue the cycle that got us to where we are. And so we want to make sure that we give the valuable information and impartation as it relates to how to grow in this area of your life, so that the next generation don't have to experience what it is that we experience. A lot of us are byproducts of blended families. My wife, for instance, shared on last week how she was a product of a blended family. I myself, I wasn't, but it was all around me. And so it's important that we take the things that we've learned and that we've used to grow and to make this marriage a success, and share it with you guys so that you too can have the success and the joyful marriage that we've had over these 20 years. It's been awesome to be married with this young lady for 20 years. 19 years. Yeah. We're knocking on 20. We're in the 20th year, let me say it like that. And so that's why I say 20 years. And so just on today, I was sharing with the gentleman while I was working about being a blended family. We're sharing some of the things that we're doing. And he was so excited because he never heard anybody talk about a blended family in the nature that I was sharing with him. And he said something to me that was so startling. He said he was embarrassed to be in a blended family. Although he was in a blended family, he felt embarrassed. And it wasn't so much that he was embarrassed about his family. He was embarrassed because sometimes you feel like you didn't succeed, or things, you know what I'm saying, or you fail in an area. And sometimes it's not even about any of that. Some things just happen the way they are. People grow apart. They don't have the tools it takes to be a success, or the tools it takes to hang on, or sometimes people just let go. And you have to understand, just because things didn't work out the way you would like for them to work out, or things didn't happen the way you wanted them to happen, that doesn't mean that you weren't a success. That's called life. Life sometimes has ups and sometimes have downs, and sometimes have good, sometimes have bad. It's what you do about those things that make you a success. We look at sports figures like Michael Jordan, different ones who starting off had what we would call failures. He was cut from his high school basketball team. And so, but he wound up being what they call the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And so just because you had an episode in your life that put you in this position of a blended family, that doesn't mean that you aren't the GOAT. That just means that you have some valuable tools that if you take the time to look at those things that prohibited you from having the quote-unquote success that you would have wanted, and you learn from them, man, you will have some tools and some things that you can put into place that will catapult your relationship, that will catapult your marriage, and will ultimately bless the world at large, because you've allowed yourself to grow, and then you've allowed yourself to give back. And so I just want to encourage those that have gone through and that you're here now. There's nothing to be ashamed of being in a blended family. I'm truly excited and happy that I'm a part of a blended family, because it gave me an opportunity not only to love people, but also to be loved, and ultimately to reflect the love of God in our lives. Because at the end of the day, we all are a blended family, because God so loved us that he gave his only begotten son, that if we just believe on him, then we will be a part of that family. And so now, because of that love, that blendedness that he showed towards us, now we can share it towards others. Amen. And so we wanted to share these statistics with you guys, but we want to jump into what we started on last week, and those were tips on beating the odds in a blended family. Before we go into it, sweetheart, just give the first ones that we covered last week.
Get educated on blended families, premarital counseling for the entire family. If you're already married, seek information from those that have successfully overcome or have the victory in blended families. Don't rush the process. Develop and maintain the oneness. Be committed and stay committed regardless of the situation or circumstances that you're faced with.
So get educated. There's nothing. When we were growing up, there was this term called RIF. RIF is reading is fundamental. There's nothing wrong with reading. There's nothing wrong with getting proper information to grow and to expand yourself. In all our getting, we're supposed to get understanding. Well, how are you going to get understanding if you're not reading? If you're not looking at, you're not reading blogs, and you're not reading books, and you're not reading different things that will advance you as it relates to not asking questions, not inquiring. Inquiring minds want to know. And so if you want to know, inquire. Inquire information that will allow you to grow and expand so that you can be or you can have the family that you desire to be and have. And so it's important to get educated on the blended family. When we started off, one of the things that, and my wife will tell you, I'm a person, I love information. I love to get information because I always want to be on top in every area of my life, especially as it relates to the marriage, as it relates to the blended family, as it relates to parenting. Because you get those things in line, I promise you, there are other areas in your life that will begin to line up because you put this first. And so get educated on the blended family. Get premarital counseling.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with counseling. The Bible says in a multitude of counsels, there's safety. And so you want to get that counsel because you want to have safety. Don't rush the process. Understand that there are going to be some things that's going to go on, or there's some things that you may want to happen that may not necessarily happen as fast as you want it, but there's a process to it. The Bible says it like this: let patience have her perfect work, that you may be entire, wanting nothing. And so you have to understand, you can't rush this process. There are some things that we went through that I'm glad we didn't rush, because it matured us. It settled us. It established us. And because we allowed that process to take its place, there's nothing that can happen. There's nothing anybody can say that can take us off of what we know to be true as it relates to our lives and our families.
Correct.
Develop to maintain unity, that oneness. This is my one right here. Like I said last week, you heard me. If you didn't hear me, watch the broadcast from last week. But this is my one here. And I believe in having a unified front with her. And it's not a front, but a unified front as it relates to every area of our lives. And so you want to make sure that you develop and that you maintain it. Be and stay committed regardless of the situation or circumstances that you're faced with. I don't care if it's financially, I don't care if it's physically, I don't care if it's mentally. You want to make sure that you be and stay committed. One of the things I'm finding out that people are giving up. Yeah. People are throwing in the towel. I don't care how bad things may look. At the end of the day, we don't walk by what we see anyway. We walk by faith. So it's not about what I look at or what I see. It's about what I want and what I decree. Correct. Let me say that again. It's not about what I look at and what I see. It's about what I want and what I decree. That's what I walk by. And so I don't care how it looks. I don't care how things appear. That's what fear is, false evidence appearing real. There are some things in your life, it's just false. Just because it seems factual doesn't mean it's truth.
Right.
Let me say that again. Just because it seems factual, it doesn't mean it's true. The fact of the matter is I was 294 pounds. The truth of the matter is there was a 166-pound, good-looking, fine, chocolate gentleman on the inside of him just waiting to get out.
Help us, Lord. Help us.
He was just waiting to get out. And so, I couldn't go by the facts. The facts was I was wearing a size 48 pants, but the truth of the matter was I was waiting to get in those 32s.
No, the red things that Daryl wore.
No, I ain't wearing no thongs. That's not true. And so I don't care what it looks like. One of my good buddies, I'm not gonna say nothing, but I'm not wearing no thongs, Daryl. So you can forget that, And so that's just facts. And sometimes those facts can seem so real, but the truth is the word. The truth is your belief. The truth is what you decree, and that's why you gotta watch what you say. You gotta watch even what you think.
You're gonna jump in the head a little bit.
Let me bag up. Let me rewind it. And so, we're gonna go ahead into that, sweetheart, because there's so much that we want to say about that. But let's go to the next point.
So we left off right here. Don't shut down or shut out your family when you come across or run into rough patches. Work through the issues that arise and work out them together.
Talk a little bit about that.
You talk about it. I'm reading. You talking tonight. I'm reading.
Don't shut down.
It out.
You hear that, right? Now, as soon as she, I'm gonna go like this. As soon as she starts talking, I'm gonna say, but don't shut down or shut out your blended family when you come into or cross rough patches. This is important because a lot of, especially men.
Yeah, that's why I said you.
A lot of times, no, that's not what you said.
Because you used to do that.
No, you just wanted to piggyback on what I was
you
gonna
used
say.
to do that.
Whatever. It's
give your testimony.
Yeah. But don't shut down, especially men. Don't touch me. But we have a real bad habit of shutting down, especially when things aren't going our way. I had a bad, especially one of my associate pastors, Pastor Kevin Adams, when he was here at the ministry, he used to say his take-home money didn't take him home. Mm-hmm. There was a time in his life where his take-home pay didn't take him home. And so a lot of times, men financially, when we're struggling, when we're going through and not producing what we know we can produce or what we should produce, we shut down. Mm-hmm. Or when things aren't going the way we wanted to go on a job or whatever area that is, we have a tendency to shut down because we got so much, our hopes and our aspirations so high that it feels like we failed ourselves. But it's important to understand that you have a system already in place to assist you. Mm-hmm. And so don't shut down because you limit and prohibit that woman from speaking into your life. You limit and prohibit that child from speaking into your life. There are a lot of times that even your children can say things that are so profound and so powerful that can catapult you into another sphere as it relates to your manhood and your progression, that if you shut down and you shut them out, then you won't allow them to assist you in what God has already placed in them to assist you in. And so don't shut down or shut out your blended family. When you come across or into rough places, even as it comes to communication. Mm-hmm. There are times where communication may not be exactly what you want it to be, or you're growing. And understand something. We change. Yeah. We're in a year of change. You might not be the same man that you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. She may not be the same woman that she was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. That's only a part of change. Right. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us don't have the hair that we used to have 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I had to show her because I remember when we got married.
You had a little bit of hair.
No, I could have had a lot of hair. I chose to be bald. Understand something? I wasn't bald by force. I was bald by choice. And so I chose to be bald because I just liked the look on me. You know what I'm saying? I did it when I played high school football. I was good looking then, so
Oh my gosh. The broadcast is not about how good you look or how cute you are. Okay. We're talking about tips on beating odds in a blended family, okay?
So yeah, we're working through some issues right now. So, make sure you work through your issues, whatever that comes along, work through them so that you can work through them together. What's the second one?
Keep the lines of communication open. You kind of just talked on that about communication. One of the ways to communicate is having family meetings. That helps a lot. It helps with the direction you're going in. It helps with challenges you might be faced with, or things you have been faced with, and how to overcome those, and just how to set out a plan for the family to work towards.
And let me say this, even I found a great way, and it took me a long time to get this understanding, but one of the ways to really keep the lines of communications open is tell your spouse your insecurities. Tell your spouses, what you struggle with. Those keep the lines of communication open. A lot of times we don't advance and we don't grow in this family dynamic because we won't tell what it is we struggle with. We won't tell what it is that we're insecure about. And so when those issues arise, now there's this big wall and this big shutdown because we don't want them to know that we don't feel as strong as they may think we are. I struggled with that a lot early on because I always wanted to be my wife's hero. I always wanted to be her superhero. I wanted to be the one that she looked up to. And so when I was dealing with things that I felt like I wasn't that individual, I would shut down. I would cut down the lines of communication. And so when I finally realized and understood that, listen, we all got stuff we struggle with. We all got things that we can come up in and we wish were better in our lives. But if I don't tell her this, she'll never know. And I found out one thing, that a lot of this stuff is seasonal. A lot of things, for years, I dealt with a depressed spirit around Christmas. And I never knew why I dealt with that, because it wasn't like, Christmas wasn't a great time for me because my birthday is right before Christmas. Christmas was excellent for me growing up. I got things I wanted, I wasn't deprived during that Christmas time, but I didn't realize that around Christmas was when my son left. And when his mom took him. And so during that season, every year after that, I dealt with depression. And so it wasn't until I started looking at my life like, why am I feeling like this? I began to identify some things, and then I started sharing it with my wife. And so I shared it with her because it kept me accountable to that feeling or to dealing with that feeling, and so that I would no longer receive it. And so as the years progressed, when it would try to come back on me, oh no, I'm not receiving it. I already know what that is. We will. Me and my son, we have a great relationship. Everything is good. I'm in his life. He's in my life. And so I don't care what it looks like now. That was then, this is now. And so, but it was important for me to communicate that, because it assisted me in dealing with a lot of other things that I was dealing with. So make sure you keep the lines of communication open. What's the next one?
Think before you speak, because once you speak it, you can't take it back. Words can be deadly.
Do we really need to say anything about that one?
Not really.
I think we do.
Why? Because you used to say things, or I used to
no,
say things.
No, because you used to say things. Don't put that one on me, sister.
Kids used to say things.
No, you used to say things. No. But no. Think before you speak. It's important, especially when things get heated.
Yeah, and you're a little upset.
Because a lot of times it's not that people don't say what they feel. They say stuff because hurt people hurt people.
Yeah, but at that time you feel like you want to say it.
Yeah, because you're hurt. And hurt people hurt people. And so what you want to ultimately do is you say something because you want to hurt that person. And so sometimes you got to sit back and you got to assess what it is you're feeling before you say it. Just because it comes to your mind doesn't give it permission to come out your mouth.
Exactly.
I think I need to say that one again.
Yeah.
Just because it comes to your mind, it does not give it permission to come out of your mouth. And a lot of times we find that, especially when you're upset and when you're frustrated and when you're angry, you'll just blurt out things just because it's in your mind, and you think you're justified for saying it because it's your mouth. Well, guess what? You're accountable for everything that you say. Words are spirits. That's why they call transfer of spirits. You can say something at a particular moment, and you can change the whole spirit and whole atmosphere of a place or a person just by what you say. So think before you speak.
And I like one of the things that Dr. Mike always say we use is your response is your responsibility. So when you understand that what you say, you're responsible for it, and make you think about it before you say it.
That's right, because let me tell you something. Nobody can make you say anything.
Exactly.
Nobody can make you say a word. You say it because that's what you choose to do. And so we want to help mature you so that you can make the right choices about what it is you say. A lot of times you say things because you just want to get under that person's skin, or you want to rattle their cage, or again, you want to hurt them. You know what I'm saying?
Push that button.
You want to push that button. You know just the right thing to say to get them off.
At the right time.
At the right time. But guess what? That's not really the right thing to say.
Right.
And it's really not the right time
either.
And so what happens is you prolong or even prohibit the growth that comes out of that relationship because you won't manage what it is that you're speaking.
Yeah.
And so think before you speak. Is what I'm going to get out of this really what I want? Am I building this person up, or am I tearing them down?
Right.
You know, the last thing you want to do is tear down your family.
Yeah.
You want to tear down your spouse. The last thing you want to do is tear down what you're trying to build. Right. You know how long it takes to build a building, especially laying the foundation. The foundation is the hardest or the longest part of that process.
Yeah, a wise person build their home.
Exactly. A wise woman builds her house.
I know, I just said. Include you in.
Here was the next one.
Develop and maintain a good relationship with each other.
Yes, you can see we got that. But you got to develop it. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that we found out is that even our fathers were good friends. Mm-hmm. We're the best of friends. They played semi-pro ball together. And so we had no idea. This wasn't something planned. They didn't put us together. I actually knew two of her sisters before I even ever met her before. And so, but because of our desire to be just great friends, this is a product of what we have 20 years later. And so 19 and a half.
19 married, but
19 married, but 20 together.
Yeah.
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 And so and so develop that. Develop and maintain a great relationship with each other. Ask for forgiveness
when you're wrong.
When you're wrong.
Or when you wrong each other, and be willing to forgive one another. For some people, for me, I'm wrong. But ask for forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because like I was watching. Hey, Shonda, happy 4th to you too, and love you too. You should be over here talking to the people.
Yeah, tell them how you hit me in the head with the shoe. Film at 11. That's our oldest daughter. That's the one that she violent.
We'll have to have one episode on. We have to get that one together.
Yeah,
we have to get that one together.
How to hit your dad in the head with a shoe.
How to set him on fire.
How to set him on fire.
All kind of things.
Yeah, stories we got. But ask for forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? When you wrong each other, and be willing to forgive one another. Yeah. Not only ask for, but be willing. Don't you know that you hinder your prayers? You hinder what you looking for, your expectations.
She said, "Well, y'all want people to know that story."
You should have did it. If you didn't want people to know you hit me. But ask for forgiveness. Yeah. That's important.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And then be willing to forgive.
Be willing to forgive. One of the things I never forget, I was watching, I know many of you used to watch Ron's House, and one of the things that he said that stuck with me, he said, "I'd rather be in love than to be right." Remember I started saying that?
Yeah.
I'd rather be in love than to be right. And we sharing this because at the end of the day, we'd rather be in love than to be right.
Yeah, I think at one time we used to, in the beginning, both of us wanted to be right.
Yes, especially you.
No, especially you. No, you wanted to be right, and you wanted to have the last word on everything.
I'll take the last word, but you wanted to be right. And so,
well, everybody want to be right, though.
No, see how she just changed up? See, that's what I'm saying. You see how
everybody want to be right.
She clicked with it, boy. I'm telling you.
Shonda said, "You started it."
That's right. And Delta said, "Don't let the sun go down without apologizing
and asking, for forgiveness." That's right.
And so it's important because let me tell you something. If you let a day go by, you open up the door for a week. If you let a week go
I've
by,
done that. I've
you open
done
up the
that.
door.
And
yes.
if when you would do something that I didn't like, or I felt like you made me mad, understanding now that somebody can't make you mad, you are like,
I'm forgiving her.
No, it wasn't that so much of unforgiving. I just would just not talk to you for like 3, 4, 5, 6 days.
Y'all see
Why
that
your
look?
face like that?
I thought that was unforgiveness.
Oh,
okay.
is it?
All right. Okay. But no, it's important, man.
It is. It really is.
Because you waste a lot of time that you could be enjoying each other, that you could be romancing each other, that you could be dating each other, all because you won't ask for forgiveness and you won't allow yourself to forgive. So it's important to forgive.
Yeah.
Love and show love to each other regardless of how you feel. And I know we're running out of time, but we're not out of message, so we're going to pick this back up next week because we got a little bit more to share with this.
Yeah, we'll see how next week is, because we have God's Glamorous Girls. We'll be in a conference Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. So we'll put a message out on Sunday of how we're going to do next week.
Just stay tuned. Just stay tuned. Same bat time.
And then don't forget on the 15th and 22nd.
Yes.
We'll be on Facebook Live along with WJMS Radio from 12p to 2p. It'll be a 2-hour broadcast.
12p to 2p.
12 noon to 2 p.m.
Okay, all right.
You don't understand that?
Say P.
12p. 12 p.m.?
Okay.
That ain't right. 12 noon to 2 p.m. Anyway, the 15th and the 22nd, 12 to 2. Tune in with us. We'll be Facebook Live along with WJMS Radio. And if you have any questions that you want answered, you can send them in, email, or type them in during the broadcast, and we'll be answering those questions. You can email us at weareablendedfamily@gmail.com.
Yes, let me say this. In the Blender is taking off. We're taking this thing, as you can see, every day, every Tuesday. Behind us, you see the picture of the world. This thing is going worldwide. Worldwide, we're finding out that blended families are universal. And so we want to make sure that we're just heeding this call that God has given us to share our lives in the wisdom and the understanding that we received over the years, and just share it with you guys. It's been a blessing. WJMS heard about us, wanted to be a part of what we're doing, and we're so excited about it. And there's so many other things that's coming down the pipeline. We'll be letting you guys know as it unfolds. But we're excited. The 15th and the 22nd
of this month, July.
Of July, what time?
12 to 2 p.
12 p.m. to 2 p.m. You want to make sure that you tune in. Facebook Live is going to be all across this country. You don't want to miss it. If you have any questions, any topics you want to discuss, any concerns, how do they reach us?
We are a blended family at gmail.com.
We love you guys. We thank you for tuning in. Don't forget.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Let's just say enjoy the rest of your 4th of July, and those that's going out to watch fireworks, be safe.
And again, we love you guys. Until next week.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.